Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Suzerain. So last time we went to the Gentleman's Club, and Peter, he did some questionable things that we might, we might have some concerns about his marriage in the future. But, on the other hand, we're right now riding away with Monica, First Lady. And our motorcade slowly made its way towards the magnificent Benfi High Art Center. Night was falling, and the festival was about to begin. I flipped through the brochure that they had given us about the hotel. Monica's face was featured on the front page, but the schedule on the inside said that Curtis Lest, Mayor of Arcania, would be making the opening remarks. My last-minute announcement that my wife would be replacing Curtin was to cause some confusion at the Prince Shops. The Benfi Festival is one of the biggest events of the year. It originally marked the start of the annual religious pilgrimage, a weeks-long journey still undertaken by the devout Norist. But today it is better known as a cultural celebration that draws thousands of revelers to the city. There were film screenings, concerts, theater and dance performances, art exhibitions, and celebrity-studded nightly galas. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on television and watched by millions. As the car slowed, a coterie of reporters and security guards rushed to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica. She nervously eyed the waiting crowd. Don't mess this up. You know what? Hold her. I took her hand in mine and gave it a firm squeeze. She smiled and turned her head to look out the window once again. As soon as Sergei opened the door, we were enveloped by the roar of the crowd. The next few minutes were a blur of handshakes, photos, and reporters' questions. The onlookers cheered as we walked the red carpet to the newly built art center. We followed the guards through the cavernous white halls until we came to a set of arched doors leading to the auditorium. We waited outside as security did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. So this is it. I finally stand on the same platform as you. A platform where Sordland's women will have their voices heard and acknowledged for the first time. Good luck. The two of us proceed to the podium. I spoke first, delivering a short paragraph about the importance of Benfi and the Festival of Sordland. Then I introduced Monica. A thunderous applause echoed around the auditorium as she stepped up the microphone. I exited the stage and found my seat right next to Curtin Lest. Ladies and gentlemen, as First Lady of Sordland, I welcome you all to the Benfi Festival. The crowd erupted again, clapping and cheering. Curtis Lest leaned over and hissed into my ear. Mr. President, I'm afraid you have made a giant mistake. There will be consequences. Are you threatening me, Curtin? No, I'm merely telling that what will happen. Your little son has lost your support in the assembly. I kept my eyes on the stage while applied subsided. Monica resumed her speech. This festival holds a very important place in all of our hearts. It is a celebration of art, music, and theater. But above all, it is a celebration of the people of Benfi of their free and open-minded spirit. As we all unite for the festivities, we must not forget the values that have inspired them. Today marks the beginning of a week of the spirit, a time for vitality, growth, and new beginnings. The crowd was hanging on her every word, but the mayor of Arica and his entourage didn't seem as impressed. I sat on this podium today to speak about change, about a new beginning for our society. Sordland calls itself a free country, yet half its citizens are still bored from enjoying the same freedoms that the other half takes for granted. I refer to myself and my fellow women. A rumble went through the crowd, scattered applause mixed with murmurs and discontent. To truly move forward, we must break from old traditions and strive towards equality for all, equal rights, equal pay, equal access to education. Enough! The entire hall fell silent. The mayor of Arica rose and spoke. I will not let this woman besmirch the traditions upon which this country was built. Curtin, get in your goddamn seat. No, Anton, I'll no longer sit idly by. We are past that point. Curtin turned towards the audience, speaking loudly enough to be heard without a microphone. Mrs. Rayne, what right do you possibly have to pass judgment on our values as Sordland citizens? You are not a politician. You are not a speaker. You are merely a woman who got lucky enough to be married to the president. Your place is not at the podium. It is at home, tending to your husband and children. The crowd was growing rowdy. Some booing and some jeered at Curtin's word. Others whooped in approval. Monica froze completely. The audience grew louder. I had to do something. I walked to the stage and stood beside my wife at the podium. The mayor still standing defiantly in the front row. If he's gonna be an asshole to my wife, I'm gonna be an asshole to him. You know, like Mr. Lest, did I have to teach you basic manners? Have you forgotten what you learned in kindergarten? The crowd erupted in laughter. Curtin's face turned red. I'm not standing by idly as our Sordland's values are being tested, especially by our very own president and his harlot of a wife. Please do not make me have to repeat myself. Or what, you have me kicked out? Exactly what I'm doing, guards. My security guards immediately surrounded Curtin and his entourage. How dare you? To a member of the assembly, to a member of your own party, he was being dragged out of the venue, his A voice echoed in the halls. You'll pay for this, Anton. I swear by my name. Do you hear me? You'll pay. The door closed behind him. The crowd began to whisper. Having regained her composure, Monica stepped back behind the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, this incident only serves to demonstrate how visibly divided our country is today. My intention was not to offend or harm anyone. It is unfortunate that even a mention of modern ideals still does not resonate with many in Sordland. I hope you can set aside our differences one day and walk towards a happier, brighter future for all of Sordland's citizens, male and female alike. We must all remember the future cannot exist without the past, and I believe we're witnessing the meeting of our glorious past and our bright future here in Benfi today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to officially open the Benfi Festival. At Morga West Core, veterans said stop. Most of the audience finished for the decades-old saying, but nervous whispers still emanated around the room. The opening event has finally finished. My troubles were curtained with not. I let Monica and my entourage... No, I let Monica and my entourage know we'd be flying straight back to Hostlord. I was in for yet another sleepless night. What? Look, you piece of shit. You can't talk to my wife that way. You know what I mean? Like, I did kick him out of the festival, but he deserved it. Belton deploying special forces of Ren. Where is Verlaine? It's here. That's a little bit closer comfort to the borders of the country, but okay then. Assessment of the Benfi scandal. The sun was just beginning to rise as Lucy and Peter and I gathered in the office to discuss the fallout of the Benfi festival. Mayor Curtin Less's untimely departure is bound to reflect badly on me. The only question is how much damage the incident would cause. The news is about to break, even as we speak. We must act swiftly to protect the administration. Agreed. This isn't good, Anton. Right now, Les looks like the victim, thrown into the festival for defending Sordland's precious cultural values. The most important thing is the narrative. We need to regain control of it. He's also one of the Assembly's core conservative members. You've got to act before he rallies the other members against you. At the same time, you must not apologize yourself. Insulting the First Lady is an act that should not go unpunished. We did make the deal with Marcel Caranti. Our deal with Marcel Caranti might be a solution. That would be the most ideal option. Sordland today paints you in a favorable light. Other publications are bound to follow. I still don't trust the man further than I can throw him, but he might prove useful in this case. How should we proceed, sir? You know, I'm going to call him Marcel Caranti. We have our deal. Let's put it to use. Excellent choice. With his influence in the media, this could be contained fairly easily. I'm still skeptical about this, but fine, I'll flesh Livia. Peter left the room and came back with my secretary. She had on a short dress and dark eyeliner. Clearly, she'd been counting on me being away at the festival for longer. Still, her demeanor was nothing but professional. Mr. Vectrin told me what happened. Should I connect you to Mr. Caranti directly? That would be appreciated. I'll let you know once I have him on the line. To be honest, though, I think you should keep this deal in the pocket until you have a scandal worth covering up. Les was completely in the wrong here. Peter grinned. Lucian looked outraged. Talk to Caranti, Mr. President, unless you'd rather take advice from someone from a conical brazier. Livia left the room, arranged a call. A few minutes later, the telephone lit up. Mr. Caranti, the CEO of Haas Conglomerate, was on the line. I was wondering when you'd call. Were you expecting me? Of course I was. I just seen the proofs of Sordland today. It seems your incident with poor Mayor Lissa is about to make headlines. Think about this, Marcel. You don't want me on the other side of the fence. I know I don't. We have a deal after all. I take it that you want us to be contained, if not completely gone. You know what? Making it disappear, I think will have bad long-term effects. So you know what? Just minimize the damage. Less prominent in the story, the better. That's certainly within the realm of possibility. I'm going to have you banished to the back pages in the next hour. What do you want from me in return? I'm going to cut straight to the point. Well, we'll worry about that when the time comes. So you want me to get to work? I mean, its partnership does kind of light. That's a big if, Mr. President, compared to what's happening now. Handle the situation immediately. Perfect. I'll call my contacts at the other papers first. I should be able to persuade them to downplay the situation. After all, making the necessary changes to my own publication should be no problem at all. I'm looking forward to the results. Enjoy your day, Marcel. Don't worry. Until next time, Mr. President. Marcel hung up the phone. I knew his partnership was the right decision. Mr. Caranti should be able to keep the incident under control. I'm surprised he was so enthusiastic about it. But either way, he just made our lives easier. Lucien departed, left me and Peter in the room together. Any plans for the holiday next month? Ha, more of this, I suppose. He leaned back in his chair. It's been a while since we had a drink or two together. For God's sake, Peter, it's 6 in the morning. At the very moment the phone began to ring, the news was out. So, I mean... Actually, nobody here is reporting on the news, so that's okay. Honestly, I still don't think that it's the wrong choice we made. Downtime at home. It felt like an eternity since Benfi Festival. Had it really been only less than 24 hours? I was at home now, drinking afternoon coffee on my balcony, a stack of newspapers lay by my side. I picked them up one by one, reading and rereading the articles about the festival. As expected, Marcel delivered. There's only a second-page article about Curless behaving deplorably and leaving the festival in disgrace. But my relief was short-lived. Marcel was effective, but he was also a double-edged sword. I couldn't help to think that if someone offered him a better deal, he'd turn on me. I was putting last newspaper down as Monica joined me on the balcony. Listen, can we talk for a bit? Of course, what is it? I've been reading the papers too. I'm having a confrontation with Curtin didn't seem to have caused much damage, but it could have gone much worse. I just wanted to thank you for supporting me and apologize for getting such a spectacle. All I wanted was to bring the people of Sordland together, the way you're able to, but not like this. Her eyes were getting moist, a single tear fell into the newsprint. I'm gonna wipe her tears away. I leaned forward and wiped the tears from her eyes. She clasped my hand in her face. Oh, Anton. Her eyes filled with gratitude. I could see she'd slept a little. Slept as little as I had since the festival. Thank you. One more thing. You know how stubborn I am. All that business was less than the festival distracted from my real message. I'm still not giving up on what been right, Anton. I want to officially adopt this cause as First Lady to be able to work on reforms, attend meetings, and rally support amongst female politicians. I know there's something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Of course, my love. I'm looking forward to working closer together. Oh, Anton, this means so much to me. Monica held me tightly, and I felt some of the past days' tensions melt away. Thank you. A noise came from the balcony door. We both turned our heads to see Dina standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's go to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah! I fucking love snacks. They left the balcony and returned half an hour later with a large cookie. Dina had written my name and icing on it. As I sipped my coffee and nibbled my cookie, I thought I had made the right choice. Things were going to get harder, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. Okay, so we got some news. Rebel Mayor taught a lesson. The reason why progress in Sordland has been hampered is because of obstructions like Mayor Curtin Less in the political establishment. Benfi boos, Mayor leaves. Benfi Festival is now in full motion as festival goers are enjoying many attractions set up. However, this year's event started eventfully. First Lady's inspiring opening speech was interrupted by Mayor of Arica, Curtis Lest, who stood up to make remarks by the First Lady. It then continued with the disrespecting accusations and tone, incurring wrath from the crowd. So we do got things in Suzerain. What else we got? Positive approval rating. More than 50% of the people support me. Preparations begin at the base to expand the port. So what do you guys have? Is it about like the military buildup? Budget allocation for the armed forces. To determine the current situation in the military and its spending policy, you must held a meeting in the White Room. Peter, Valkyrin, and Yosef were seated. General Valkin, Mr. Lysia, let's begin with the briefing. Very well, Mr. Vice President. We prepared a briefing to convey further details about the current situation of our military. First off, we received an updated communication from the United Continental Military Command. Despite my very vocal disagreement with the plan, their warships are approaching the Conrad Conrad naval base we speak. Contanian warships and Conrads, I never thought I would see the day. We are keeping them under close surveillance. A single wrong move and we will keep you updated. Don't cause any trouble, do you understand? Yes, sir. Now let's move on to our military. Which branch would you like to know about? I mean, what's the situation with the army? According to the latest reports from Camp Strongarm, great name for a military base, currently we field 3 armies totaling up approximately 400,000 active troops, which is a good amount. The real issue we are having is quality, not quantity. What's the current equipment status? Our army is outdated, quite outdated by today's military standards. Most of our equipment is 2 decades old. To make up for our lack of modern military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not really a long-term solution. I've been trying hard to reduce the effects of this problem. It has been very problematic. We need more funding towards modernization, otherwise our army will be seen as weak. Where exactly is our army deployed right now? The first army is stationed at Lesbian and Wayland borders, back the way to the central region of Sordland. The second army, our strongest force, is situated on the Rumburg border. The second army has a large mounted commando force and is the best equipped army because they're facing Rumburg. And the third army is near the Angolan border and coastal areas facing Voxland. Due to our bitter past, we generally keep the coastal defense force, although many years ago, the decimation of our fleet is still not forgotten. How do we compare to other armies? Rumberg fields about 6 armies amounting to about 1 million soldiers. Latvia fields 5 armies, which accounts to 800,000 soldiers. Vassland fields 1 army of about 140,000. Wayland has 100,000, and Agnolia has 200,000. The sheer size of the Rumberg army is because of their forced conscription laws. Due to their massive gold reserves, they are able to afford it. On the other hand, the Latvian army is most advanced, followed by the Voxlian army. Well, these countries put a lot of money in modernizing their military. Okay, what about the Navy? Our Navy currently consists of 59 ships, with a total of 60,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from our main naval base in Conrad, where our flagship, the SN Rayne, is docked. How does our Navy compare? Our Navy is dwarfed by the size of Vaxland Navy, which has 194 ships, and the Agnolian Navy, which has 81. We only express Latvia in terms of our Navy, as they have less than 30 ships. As you see, the situation is dire, but the solution is just not more ships. To make the truly better Navy, we need to equip our ships with modern radar and sonar systems. More outdated ships won't mean much. Okay, what about the Air Force? Our Air Force has 410 planes in the inventory, out of which only 140 are jet planes that are not in great condition. 30,000 pilots and support staff. They're commanded by the from Mark Air Force Base in Elroy. What are operational capacities? Our planes can bomb targets within 400-kilometer radius of their airfield. They have medium range and semi-efficient nighttime bombing capabilities. At any time, we can field 7 air wings composed of a total of 130 aircraft that can operate in combat duty. This is enough to subdue most targets. In terms of bombing capacity, we have an average of 100 meters of precision. This is not great, but it's still within our effective radius of the bombs. How does our Air Force work together with other military branches? The Air Force is trained as an independent tactical support branch, which means that it assists other branches but does not collaborate. This does cause some issues like friendly fire and missed close air support opportunities. There are ways to improve collaboration with joint operation rooms, something to think about surely. How experienced are they? Our pilots are average. They have a total of 450 hours flight time with their craft before they're qualified. This gives them more than enough to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 and 1,500 hours in other countries like Arcadia, United Katana, Lesbian, and even Voxland. Normally, these hours per pilots should be higher, but due to the lack of funding, we cannot increase the training times, and fuel costs are rather high. Okay, so let's move on. The Ministry of Defense is disappointed by the lack of additional funds. We knew that keeping the same budget would be a cause for some concern for you. I'd be willing to support the military in other ways. We could come to an agreement. We request any support we can get at this point. The military circle has already been moody after they heard the decision. We expected more. We know that there have been high hopes, but the president has made a decision to prioritize other branches. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place without money. The military suffers from budget overextension in order to keep up with other countries. Joseph lets out a long sigh. No use complaining now, Vulcan. Let's look at what we can do with what we have. I've been planning to improve the quality of the armed forces by buying better military equipment. How would that be possible without funds? It won't be. There is one other way. If we leave half the forces, we can create enough surplus that we can invest in new equipment. Relieving half the armed forces sounds risky at best and destructive at worst. Vulcan eyes widen. We are barely matching the size of our neighbors while the other half is 2 times bigger than ours. How on earth would discharging half the armed forces and buying new gear help solve our defense issues? I mean, he raises valid questions. Quality or quantity is the right strategy for the future of warfare. Having a large force doesn't necessarily mean superior. The reduction in the army could cause more unemployment, which could hurt the administration. What do you think? The Surge armed force will stand strong and maintain our structure. Unfortunately, but as you wish, Mr. President. Yosef and Vulcan looked at each other and frowned. That will be all today. Dismissed. I present my thanks for your attendance. The meeting concluded as the sun set over the concrete jungle that was Hostlord. I mean, if it isn't Hostlord, why are we getting the event here? Also, I've noticed that you are now having an event in a different country. Oh, trade talks. Okay. But, I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. Actually, let's read the news, and then we'll kind of end the episode for today. Mayor of Enrica joins the NFP. So he's left the party, which I'm assuming... I mean, is that shown here? It's actually not. This should actually probably be 129 and then 41, but that's fine. The second Katana satellite in space. Second vessel satellite launch from Roster Air Base, which has reached low orbit. But anyways, oh, what's this? Oh, did I really never click on this button this whole time? Okay, so no, there's just a big codex about all the information. Family, cabinet, party leaders, ex-presidents, other things. Anyways, I think this is going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So thanks everybody for watching. My name is Anthnwam. If you've enjoyed, give it a thumbs up. If you're not enjoying, click thumbs down. If you want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.